Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
And welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Monday, the 30th day of June, and as we say goodbye to June, we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it.
Good morning, and my name is Akinlabi Holder, and it's good to be here. Yes, Adana, the last day of the first half of the year. We're heading into the second half, and I hope that you and everyone else who set out the plans for 2025, they're happy with where they are at right now.
I hope so too, Akinlabi. You know, thinking about it, you're really trying to quantify how we got here. Like, yes. we really at the end of the first half of the year, and you really, guys, you have to go back and do your checks and balances to see where you are and what you need to step up on, and you know, the things that you're satisfied with, you know, pat yourself on the back and reward yourself for achieving your goals. We have a beautiful show lined up for you this morning, but before we get into all of those conversations, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, June 30th, 2025. The Tobago Regional Health Authority's $19 million acquisition of the Palms Villa has sparked serious transparency concerns after details only surfaced months post-purchase. Though approved in January 2024 and backed by Tobago House of Assembly, the public was not informed until June 2025. The TRHA faced foreign exchange hurdles and explored questionable funding options, including via a THA-owned entity. However, Minority Leader Kelvon Morris demands clarity on valuation, forex approval, and procurement steps, questioning the value of health funds amid widespread shortages in Tobago public health system. Up next, as scrutiny continues over the Tobago Regional Health Authority purchase of new ambulances, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has distanced the Tobago House of Assembly from the procurement process.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Are you ready to celebrate the essence of Crusoe land and the culture of Tobago? Well, get ready for Tobago Day in New York City, hosted by the Tobago Empowerment and Alliance Mission. Sunday, August 17, 2025, Nazareth High School Courtyard, 475 East 57th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 12 noon to 8 p.m. We bring the Tobago vibes to the Big Apple. Live music, Tobago food, cultural performances, and family fun. So bring Tanty, Granny, the uncle, invite the whole neighborhood. Just bring everybody and bring your significant other too. Come celebrate Tobago Day in New York City, Sunday, August 17th, Nazareth High School Courtyard. But hey, I forget to tell all you, it's with 10th anniversary celebration. For more information, call 929-327-7857 or check Team's Facebook and Instagram pages, Team Tobago Day.
Think you could get Dance Ensemble Tobago presents our signature event, Tobago Dance Sport Championship and Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Lights, cameras, dance on 12th edition on Saturday the 12th of July, 5 p.m. The Shore Park Cultural Complex Auditorium. See our dancers, all ages, compete in waltz, jive, rumba, salsa, mambo, and much more. Our Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Who will take home the Mirrorball Trophy? Mrs. Takiana Ned Augustine, the wife of the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. Miss Lynette Louis, vocalist entertainer. Mrs. Cassandra Thompson Forbes, journalist and Tobago correspondent. Mr. Javon Carrington, founder and head trainer of Dosfit Studios. And Mr. Julian Skeet, administrator and former TV host. After show, dance party with DJ Santa out of Trinidad. Early bird tickets, adults $200, children $75, and general tickets, adults $250 and children $100. Get your early bird tickets now from Dance Ensemble members, D&D Jewelers at Tobago United Cooperative, Milford the 24 gas station in Canaan, and the Shore Park Cultural Complex box office. For more information, you call 772-9049 and 340-5758. You can't miss this one.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Here is your news in 90 seconds. The Tobago Regional Health Authority's $19 million acquisition of the Palms Villas has sparked serious transparency concerns after details only surfaced months post-purchase. Though approved in January 2024 and backed by the Tobago House of Assembly, the public was not informed until June 2025. The TRHA faced foreign exchange hurdles and explored questionable funding options, including via a THA-owned entity. However, Minority Leader Kelvin Morris demands clarity on valuation, forex approval, and procurement steps, questioning the use of health funds amid widespread shortages in Tobago's public healthcare system. As scrutiny continues over the Tobago Regional Health Authority's purchase of new ambulances, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine has distanced the Tobago House of Assembly from the procurement process, stating that only the Office of Procurement Regulator can assess compliance. Speaking during the THA budget debate, Augustine said the procurement documents were submitted for external review. The contract for 12 ambulances, of which only 4 were delivered, has drawn criticism over vehicle quality. Calls for investigations have come from Minority Leader Kelvin Morris and IDA's Dr. Denise Sawyer-Fats Angus. And finally, the People's National Movement has declared legal war on the United National Congress, the UNC government, over the recent dismissal of approximately 10,700 CPEP workers. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles said the mass termination is just the beginning, hinting at further job cuts across other state agencies. The PNM plans class action and other legal challenges with a high-powered legal team, including several senior counsels ready to act. Beckles and Senator Faris Alwari accuse the UNC of politically motivated firings and warn that similar actions against URP and forestry workers could soon follow. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Okay, Akinlabi, coming out of the news, especially the last news story there, we heard what happened over the weekend with the dismissal of the CPEP gangs from the management all the way down to all over 10,000 workers in one swipe by the sign of a pen, the ink of a pen. 10,000 persons were sent home. I think they were given 1 month's salary. How does one prepare? I mean, I understand that when a new government, a new administration takes office, they have their own mandate, they have their own policies. I understand that. I also understand that they have the power to recruit whomever they see suitable for personal assistance and stuff like that. But in terms of policy and hiring across the like on a government level, even if you want to, should I give my opinion here? Even if you want to dismiss, even if you want to bring in, if you want to reevaluate and reassess, and we've had that situation right here in the THA, we spoke about it right here on this set, the way that things were done. There must be an assessment process. The persons who are going to be affected, they should be informed prior to the assessment.
Yes.
They should be alerted. They should be able to be given an opportunity to make preparations.
Yeah.
How do you respond as a person who is being told next month that's it? Well, in fact, immediately that's it. You have 1 month's salary to finish pay for school books, to pay for your loan, to buy your groceries.
So for, strange enough, I went through something similar to this before. And it really comes as a shock to the employees, that just like that, your job is gone, no set of warning beforehand, that kind of thing. Your job is just gone. And luckily for me, I had something to bounce back on. But the average person,
and this is low. This is exactly. This is low level. I'm not, saying anything against anybody, but these are people who are low earners.
Yes.
Low income earners.
Yes.
And more than likely, they probably don't have a second form of income. This is what they depend on.
This is it. Yes.
Right. And where's the humanity? And I've always asked this question. I don't care who the government is. I don't care who the administration is. Where is the humanity?
Yeah. And I think that there could be so many better ways to deal with this. Now, I've heard persons say over the weekend on social media, is the contractors they want to get rid of, and they'll bring back on the
trauma is already there. You have already traumatized.
Not only
even
that,
if you bring them back.
Not only that, but how long is the gap between getting rid of the contractors and bringing in new contractors? And what are the employees supposed to do in between them? I think that this kind of behavior keeps repeating itself no matter which administration it is.
With no accountability.
They keep doing this over and over and over, and something needs to change. Something has to be different.
We could only pray for change. We could only hope for change. This morning, this is the way we end in June, people. This is how we're coming out of June here in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a sad state, but I really do hope for change. We have spoken about it before. We've seen it in the THA. We've seen it nationally, and we are hoping that even if you want to implement your own policies, you have your own people to, let's do it kind of systematically. Let's do it, incrementally. Let's do it in a kind of phase-by-phase basis. Let's not just shock everybody all at once. Let us phase things out and phase things in so people can have time to get their feet on the ground. Let us not be callous, malicious, vindictive. I'm going to use those words this morning. Those are my personal words, not the words of Tobago Updates Television, but it must be said this morning. All right, so it's that time of the morning. Let's change things up a little bit this morning. We're going to celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. And of course, we here at Tobago Updates Television, we do love a good birthday celebration. So this morning, we take the time to say happy birthday to our celebrant this morning, Mr. Philson Henry. Philson Henry is celebrating a birthday this morning, and we say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful and amazing birthday today. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday goes out to Desiree Kwashi. Desiree Kwashi, we're saying happy birthday to you. We do say that we do hope that you have a wonderful birthday today. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we hope that you have an amazing, amazing birthday today. We say God's blessings to you, and we hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. All right, and that's our birthday celebrants for this morning. Of course, even if we don't have your photographs and you are celebrating, we join in the celebration with you and remind you to put God first, because He's the sole reason why there's even anything for you to celebrate. It's Monday morning, and you might be wondering what's in my cup. What's in my cup this morning is sponsored by LCJ Delights, and this morning I'm drinking turmeric ginger tea, one of my favorite drinks from LCJ Delights. They are the makers of teas. They also make porridges and flour for your pancakes and your waffle, all for your breakfast meals this morning. If you want to contact LCJ, they are located at the Signal Hill Micro Enterprise Complex. You can check them out there to see what they have on offer. Who are we having conversations with this morning in studio? Well, it's Monday, so we're going to have conversations with Sergeant Karen Jonas. He's the Operations Sergeant at Sherburne Road Police Station, and we're going to be getting our TTPS updates as per usual, and we're going to be talking about tint regulations. Yes, that conversation is back in the space again, tint regulations for vehicles. And then we speak with Maxlon Roberts. He's the president of the Agro-Entrepreneurial Society of Trinidad and Tobago and the secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago Village and Community Council Association. and we're talking about agriculture and the 2026 THA budgets. And we're going to have an extended conversation with Maxlon this morning as we go through that conversation this morning. Of course, the budget presentation is still in the atmosphere, still relevant, and we still want to hear what you have to say. Remember, you can leave your comments on our Facebook live stream and our YouTube channel at Tobago Updates Television. We want to hear from you. And we thank you so much for choosing us this morning and for sticking with us. We've made it to 6 months, the first 6 months of 2025, and you've been here with us, and we're hoping, of course, you can be with us for the next 6 months of the year, and so on and so on. But in the meantime, as we go for a break before we begin conversations, we ask you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions, powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Saving up to go. Anything we not backing down, like a bomb we ready to explode. Ain't gonna wait until my back against the wall. Ain't gonna.
Hair goals, we've got 'em. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy for queens who know exactly what they want.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning by speaking with Sergeant Karen Jonas. He's the operations sergeant at the Sherburne Road Police Station. As you are aware, once TTPS is in the house, we're going to get our crime updates as it relates to things happening on the island of Tobago. And we're also talking about the tint regulations for vehicles. Yes, that is a thing, and we're going to have that conversation this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning. Morning to the viewers of the Tobago Updates.
All right, thank you so much for being with us this morning. As you are aware, once TTPS is in the house, we'd like to know what activities took place on the island of Tobago over the past week and weekend in terms of any criminal activities, any arrests, anything that we could, report this morning.
Right, well, recently we had over the weekend the Island Crashers event. I would like to report that that event was very safe. right? The young people will have came to Tobago and enjoyed themselves, right? And also recently, I'm sure the public will have been aware that there was a drug bust on the port, right? And that success is attributed to the information that the public has given to the police. So we continue to work with the public, and we want to impress on the public to continue to give us the information so that we can do what we have to do to reduce crime on the island of Tobago and by extension Trinidad and Tobago.
Very good. And you know what, we keep making that call for the public to come forward, and you know, crime is not a me thing or you thing, it's our thing. We have to work together to ensure that we can, you know, curb the crime situation here on the island of Tobago. We continue, of course, to look forward to what the TTPS is doing. I know last year we had some trouble, and I feel as if we kind of in a okay, I mean, there's always room for improvement. We want it to be perfect. I know people say that there's no such thing as perfect, but we could strive towards perfection.
Of course.
And so we continue to keep our eyes on the TTPS to see the strategies that they will implement to ensure that, you know, the space is safe for all of us to reside and for us to thrive and survive together as a people. All right. I want to shift to, I know you came to speak specifically on the tint regulations, because it's a very, very important topic, and people need to understand what the regulations require, because you don't want to be pulled aside and you know, you're kind of confused. Why am I being charged? So let's get into the regulations as it relates to tinting of your vehicles.
Yes. So I want to first speak on what the old law was, if we would call it that. Previously, before 2020, the law was once any tint on a vehicle could have been illegal because it was a subjective test based on the discretion of the police officer or the transport officer on the road. Now that has changed, right? We are no longer going with a subjective test. We now have an instrument in which we can use to test the light visible transmission that comes into your vehicle, right? So if I could read what the new law says, Section 3(1) of the regulations, the motor vehicle and tint and window regulation says that a person shall cause or permit a vehicle to be used or driven on or have charge of a vehicle upon any road where a window or window of the vehicle is composed of, coated or covered by, or treated or darkened with any material, overlay, or other product that has the effect of making windscreen window non-transparent or reduce the visible light transmittance of the window, or unless that vehicle, the front windscreen of that vehicle, the visible light transmission can be 70%. The other windows, the front of that vehicle, 30%. All rear windows, 20%. Now, this does not say that the tint has to be 20%, but the visible light transmittance that comes into the window must project that light into that vehicle.
So, okay, so you have an instrument to measure the percentage of the light that is being transmitted into the vehicle, right?
Yes.
The TTPS has this. Is it now that persons who provide the service of tinting vehicles, do they have, is there any policy or regulation that says that they must have one before they tint, or is it, do you have a guideline as to what type of tint you can use and where you can buy it, and how does that work on the other side? Because while you have the instrument to measure, remember the service provider also has to have the same, so there must be a balance. Is there a policy or regulation that guides the process in terms of what they use as well?
Well, there's no policy guiding the tint man, the person who's applying it into your vehicle. But they should ensure that the persons who are coming to them, as far as possible, comply with the regulations. And it's up to them, if they are professionals in doing what they're doing, to have a meter to measure the tint that they are putting on the person's vehicle to make sure that they are compliant with the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is the regulation that we are guided by, and they should also be guided by that.
You know, one thing about me is I will always ask or clamor for a public education drive, because while we have all these policies and these regulations, we have them in law, it's written, yes, and it should be the responsibility of the user to go and get it somewhere. But if I don't know something exists, then I will not pursue it. Is there any plans by the TTPS to engage service providers, to engage the public in ensuring they understand what the regulations as it relates to tints? Are you going to go? I know sometimes the TTPS has the town hall meetings and they talk about various topics, but is there anything put in place to ensure that people know these are the regulations and these are the expectations of the service provider and the vehicle owner?
Well, this is the reason I'm here today. So this is one of the steps in ensuring that the public is aware that these regulations are going to be enforced, right? And as they say, ignorance is no excuse to the law. Anyone can pull it up and read it. As I said, is the Motor Vehicle Road Traffic Window and Tint Regulations 2020. This came into effect since July 2020 via Legal Notice 281 of 2020. So while we are trying to educate the public, right, is the onus is on drivers to ensure that they are compliant, and they should educate themselves as well in reading these regulations to ensure that they're not found foul of the law.
And is there any plans on the way to start, stop and search or stop and assess my vehicle if I'm on the road? And is there any exercise that is being planned to be executed in the near future where that is concerned? Or is it that you are giving the public some time, 2 weeks, a week, a month, whatever, to ensure that the tint is up to scratch? Or is this, I know the regulation, as you mentioned, was in effect from 2020, but as we are in this period now, is there anything going to be happening now to say, listen, you need to strip down your vehicle and ensure your compliance?
Well, as it relates to stripping of vehicles, we as the police officers cannot tell anyone to strip their vehicle by law. What we can do is enforce the regulation. And there is no grace period as far as I'm aware. The law is the law. And once we are out there on the street and we are stopping vehicles and we are conducting our regular road check exercises, if you are found in breach, it is likely that you may be issued a certificate if your tint is very dark. Because when you look at it, it breaches safety concerns for the police officer. And not only the police officer, but the drivers themselves. If your vehicle is heavily tinted, you cannot see well through that window in the night. And it poses a danger to the public. You're reversing, or you may not see someone crossing a road if your vehicle is heavily tinted. Right? So there are safety concerns, and hence the reason for these regulations. And it's going to be enforced. I think we had sufficient time as a public to ensure that we comply, as I said, since 2020. And we have to make our vehicles ready. And many a times we go for inspections as the law requires. And once we go for inspections, our vehicle is supposed to be roadworthy, and this is one of the things that they will check to ensure that your tint is compliant with the regulation.
And you're talking about the percentage of light that's supposed to transmit through the vehicle. Is it both day and night? Because we have different type of lighting for day and different type of lighting for night. Right. So which lighting are we using?
Well, it does not matter whether it's midnight or 12 o'clock midday. The device is in such a way that it will check and be accurate enough to tell the light transmitter that is coming into any vehicle, right? That device is a two-part device. It's a component. It's calibrated before it is used by the officer, and it will be placed against a window. And once that is placed against the window, it will give you a reading as accurately as possible and tell you how much light is coming into that vehicle. So as I said before, I want the public to be clear on this. The front windscreen, 70%. There's an anti-glare band that we put at the top of our windscreen that blocks out the sunlight from your eyes. That anti-glare band could be 35% by law. Any windows at the front, 35%, and any windows at the back, 20%. Anytime you are found to be in breach of those regulations, as I said, the likelihood of you getting a certificate is very high.
And the width of the band that they put on the windscreen on the top part, what is the dimensions for that width?
Right, by law, it's 15 centimeters or 6 inches. For larger vehicles above class 3, the bandwidth, the regulation says that it should be at the top of where the wiper blade passes. Once it's above that, you should be okay.
Okay.
But it's not to say that somebody will put a very small wiper blade on the windscreen.
I mean, people find ways they
course.
find loopholes and they find ways to jump and bob and weave. So,
and this was the problem with the old regulation. People found ways around the old regulation because if my vision is poor, and I'm telling you, ma'am, I cannot see into your vehicle, you are telling me, but I can see perfectly in my vehicle, then it's a subjective test.
So now we have to have a regulation for the length of your wipers. Because I mean, it sounds funny, right? It does sound funny, but I mean, sometimes we have to look at it holistically, because some people will try to find a way. They will try to find a way.
People are crafty.
But the important thing is having the information, and I really want to see, I know you said that this is the beginning of your public education campaign, and I'm really hoping to see more education out there, because I see a lot of vehicles on the road and I'm wondering, can they see in or out of this vehicle? And to give people a fair chance, although the regulation was established in 2020, I want to see a public education. I want people to be engaged in the conversation, and because I don't want somebody to say, well, I didn't know there was a regulation, because nobody's going to get up off their bed in 2020 when we're in a pandemic and say, let me see if they have a motor vehicle tint regulation there. Let me just go and check and see. Nobody's going to check that. So the onus really is, while we have a personal responsibility, the TTPS really has to do that drive to ensure that people get the information.
And I want to say it's not a new law. It's just that it has changed from what it was, from being a subjective test, to ensure that there's some level of certainty when it comes to tint regulation. And so a person can be assured that, listen, hey, if I'm below the standard, I can be ticketed. It's not that the police is going to go there and ticket everybody that they see. It's up to the discretion of the officer at the end of the day. Right? But persons have to ensure that as far as possible that they should be compliant with this, because it's a very dangerous thing. Imagine you're a police officer out there on the street, and we know the amount of firearms that are prevalent out there, and you are stopping a vehicle and you cannot see anything in that vehicle. It's a danger to you.
But that's the plan. That's the plan. That's the plan of the perpetrator, you know.
So we want to see, not that we want to mind your business, but we want to be safe out there while we are conducting our business, to ensure that the nation, by extension, is also safe.
And if somebody wants to get their hands on the regulations, where can they go to find it?
Well, they can pull it up online. It's easily found. Right.
And tell me the name of the regulation so they could put
Again, let me be accurate. The Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Window and Tint Regulations 2020.
And what is the charge?
You mean the penalty?
The penalty, sorry.
Well,
the penalty.
The penalty could be up to $5,000 according to the regulation. But there are different charges for, per se, like if you are found in breach of one of the light transmission, the charge for that certificate would be issued to you is $2,000. Right? I would also want to talk about, sometimes some vehicles come with the manufacturer pre-tinted.
That's right.
Right? So once that vehicle came that way from the manufacturer and it is passed by the license authority, it is okay. But if you now take it upon yourself and go to the tint man, and you overlay that with any material, it does not have to be tint. It could be stickers as well. So all those fancy stickers that we put on, once that breaches the light transmission coming into the vehicle, then you can be ticketed for that as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're getting the information here this morning on the Morning Show on Tobago Updates Television. You have to be very, very careful and cautious when applying tint to your vehicles, because at the end of the day, I mean, we want to cooperate. Yes, I mean, I know, as vehicle owners, you want to be comfortable in your vehicle.
Yes.
When the sun comes in there, it burns your skin, right? But at the same point in time, we want to be a community, and we want to comply with the regulations set out by the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't think the TTPS woke up one morning and said, let us punish them by doing this. Not. So it's something that we are governed by, and let us be compliant and work together with the TTPS. I don't know if there's more information you'd like to share.
Yes,
with our viewers.
As you mentioned the sunburn in your skin, there are exemptions as well. So one can apply for an exemption on a medical grounds. Now that exemption must come from a specialist who is certified by the medical board. So once you have that exemption, the Transport Commissioner has the authority to grant that, not the police. Transport Commissioner who's grant that exemptions. And there are also vehicles that are exempted based on the regulation. So the President and the Prime Minister.
Understandably.
The police, the Defense Force, Fire Service, Customs. those vehicles are exempted from these regulations for safety reasons, of course, right? So, and also we have children, persons with children who are under 5 years old. They may want to shelter them from the sunlight, from the rays of the sun. You are allowed to have a curtain or some shield to, once that child is in the vehicle, to shade your child from the sun. But if that child is not there, then it should be taken down.
And I was coming to that. I like that you said once the child is in the vehicle, because it even goes back with the exemption for the skin condition. It is for the person, the occupant must be in the vehicle. So let's say, for instance, let's say I have an exemption, right? So my vehicle is exempted. But at the point in time when I'm stopped, I am not in the vehicle.
Well,
so is the exemption for the vehicle or for the person?
The exemption would be for the vehicle.
Okay.
Once you are the owner of the vehicle, the registered owner of the vehicle, the exemption would be for the vehicle and not the person.
Okay, good.
So if anyone else is found driving that vehicle and they can produce that exemption, it will be for the vehicle. And the exemption should be in the vehicle at the appointed time when you are stopped.
All right, good. Well, that of course, I mean, that is obviously evident. You wouldn't want to take that risk and pay that $2,000 fine.
You'll be surprised.
You know, it's good information you're sharing here this morning, and I do hope that, you know, that we pay attention. We have a personal responsibility. Let's just do what we know is right. I know some things might appear as, oh gosh, they come with something again, but it's not new. It's just an adjustment to what was there before. Because you have to also remember, officer, that persons were relaxed. The regulations were relaxed. I know you're saying, well, we adjusted it in 2020. And as I said, nobody in 2020 was paying attention to anything other than the pandemic.
Yes.
Right? So, TTPS has to, and I feel as if you should give people a little grace, but TTPS has to do their due diligence and ensure persons are informed, that they have all the information necessary where this is concerned, so that they can do the needful. As I said, it's up to the discretion of the officer at the point in time.
But I would want to say as well, we have been warning persons while we are out there on roadblock exercises, because you see a lot of heavily tinted vehicles approaching you on a roadblock. And persons have been told over time, hey, listen, the tint meter is going to come. Get your vehicle in readiness. So I'm sure that there are members of the public who can attest to that.
And have you all charged any in this period? Have you all charged anyone within the last, let's say, the month or so?
Well, the training of the use of the tint meter has taken place within the last week or two.
Okay.
And so going forward,
so now is the time for people to put speed on the wheels and ensure
that the police will continue to be out there, and we'll be vigilant, and as far as possible we'll try to enforce the regulations.
Okay.
Right? We still want to be fair and want to let people know that the police is not just about charging persons, but to ensure that we all are compliant with the rules and regulations of the laws at the land.
All right, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Sergeant Karen Jonas, Operations Sergeant at the Sherburne Road Police Station. This morning we're talking about the tint regulations for your motor vehicle. I hope you got the information here, and if you don't, look out for the TTPS. In fact, go down to Sherburne Station and ask for Sergeant Jonas for him to give you more information, and look out for them with their public education campaign as they continue informing the public on how to, what are the accepted tint regulations for your vehicle. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio, and as we go, we invite you to help us. We invite you to help us. Yes, that's correct. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
When I want a proper window for my house, I want to shake a thing in my place.
Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces.
We get one wall on the side and we get one hole. You can put a window there, invent something, a window for put there.
At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Well, me meet here. Me don't know who I'm talking to, but my cousin Tofina tell me, for call all you go get proper thing for put there. Me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
Driven? No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of me pick me them go drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Printer down by the place down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships. It's about you.
It's all about me? Who's your family? You know Edna and Dorka and them, you know them, but you resemble them Edward boy and them Edward people them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russo Trace Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We continue conversations in studio, and this morning we have with us Mr. Maxwell Roberts. He is the president of the Agro-Entrepreneurial Society of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago Village and Community Council Association. This morning we're going to go through the budget presentation, the THA budget presentation for fiscal 2026, and we are talking about agriculture, the position of agriculture in that budget this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, how are you?
I am well, thanks, and it's a pleasure having you here this morning with us.
Good morning, Tobago. It's always a pleasure being here, always a pleasure communicating with you, especially when it relates to matters concerning agriculture.
All right, and of course we're going to get straight into the conversation this morning. The presentation took place last week, if my calculations are correct, and we heard about 5 or 6 main pillars that the secretary wanted to focus on in terms of the presentation, to strengthen the economy, to build boost morale of the people of Tobago, and of course to put us in the best position possible. But we want to focus this morning on agriculture. And your position, your observations where that presentation was concerned. So let's get into it.
Well, it's indeed a pleasure to have this discussion. And I could recall prior to the Secretary's presentation last week, I know the Chief Secretary would have mentioned earlier prior to that those key areas, one of them I remember distinctively would have been agriculture. And from the presentation, I'm quite pleased in terms of the approach that treats with each sector. So they looked, instead of looking at divisions this time, they looked at the sectors. So they looked at the agri sector, they looked at the tourism sector, not necessarily the division of tourism or the division of, so they looked at the sector holistically and made their recommendation, their observation based on what information they would have received. From the allocation, and there's something that stood out to me particularly, where the secretary mentioned as she was giving her contribution. In this regard, we are developing a 5-year, 2025 to 2030, transformative capital investment portfolio for this sector, which is the agri sector, which is being designed to increase the sector's contribution to GDP to 6% by 2030 from its current contribution of under 1%. Now that's a big jump. I think the estimated allocation was 131.9 million they expecting to give to this, put into the sector this time around. And all of this is in the attempt to reach to this place where we are food secure. But I saw it mentioned in the presentation as well, that we need to move from this concept of just food security, because I always indicate that you can be food secure for a day. But what we need to start looking at is what is referred to as food sovereignty, which is feeding generations in the future. So when we're adopting our policies, that is the end goal, being able to feed generations in the future. And that was mentioned. The allocation seems to be interesting, and all the right things are being said. But how do we actually move from this under 1% to 6% in 5 years? 5 years is a very short time. 5 years happens very quickly. And if we're contributing under 1% now, then it requires some serious work of analyzing where we are, understanding what it requires for us to move from where we are to get to where we want to be. So the right things are being said. Let's see how we roll out and actually implement what is being said, because apart from just saying moving from under 1% to 6%, when I'm looking at this sector, I like to see targets. All right. In agriculture, if you're looking at food security, you always focus on you should be focusing on three main things: fats, carbohydrates, proteins. That is where when you're consuming, those are the core areas that that treats with your nutrition: fats, your carbohydrates, your protein source. Once you can have strategies that can meet those, then you're starting that right path, not just vegetables, because vegetables is just vegetables. You know, that doesn't really make you food secure. You can grow this inordinate amount of vegetables, but you're nowhere near food security or food sovereignty. So it's how you actually dissect the sector by setting targets, whether it be 10%, 20% in a certain time frame, and then we get.
So you're hoping to see like a breakdown in terms of how do we get to where we want to go?
Yeah.
I think she.
Well, it may not that, and I no fault of the secretary that isn't her. I guess the secretary for agriculture is the person who can now give you that breakdown in terms of those areas, those target areas.
Do you think that you mentioned that it is a short time, and it is. Do you think that it is attainable once the right strategies are implemented? Considering the resources that we have available in Tobago, do you think that it is an attainable goal or something that we can actively work towards achieving?
6% is a high figure.
They say reach for the stars, eh?
Yeah, I agree.
You might fall short, you might still reach.
You might hit a coconut.
Right? So, do you, in your assessment and your experience?
I like that it's set. You set that high bar. So it means then that we have to work. Of course it's attainable once we're willing to do the work. Once we do the right assessment and we understand where we are. Are we doing the real assessment? Because I was part of the cabinet appointed committee on food pricing and food security that was established earlier this year, and we were looking at we dissect the sector from all angles and looked at what is contributing to the high in food port bill, because that's where we had to focus on how do we get to a more food secure, food sovereign state. And from the information we would have gotten, we realized that there is a lot of work to do. Particularly considering the geopolitical situation that exists now. So where we are in Tobago, which is really nowhere when it comes to the agriculture sector. Let's be honest, because if every week you're bringing green fig, and imagine green fig and bhaji from Trinidad to supply your demands, And then we know we're near where we should be, and that's just, as I said, fresh produce. Are we really looking at the staples, your fats, your carbohydrates, your protein sources? Are we looking at those areas and really dealing with them? So it's possible. In 5 years, I say that's a short time. It's very short. It's ambitious, I must say, and that's good. That's good that we're looking and we're actually paying that level of attention to it. So I'm hoping that we really get our heels in and get the work done so that we can actually get to that point.
You know, you made a statement about the fact that we still importing stuff from right across Trinidad for Tobago. When you compare Tobago to other Caribbean islands in terms of their produce, how do we line up based on your assessment?
Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Let's take, for instance, Grenada, St. Vincent. For those 2 weeks, Guyana is gone. Guyana gone. They have almost reached food secure status. I saw St. Vincent exporting dashins to the Canada. So they are now sending containers of dasheen to Canada, gaining foreign exchange. When I look at what they do and how they cultivate and they use their hillside, because the topography of St. Vincent is no different from us, nor is Grenada no different from us. And what they are able to accomplish in terms of that, we are nowhere there. Most of our dashins are actually from St. Vincent, you know. Those dashins that come out white and not the blue one like we're accustomed to is from St. Vincent, right? Are we as Tobago sending anything to Trinidad? No.
Do we have the ability? I'm not talking about capacity yet, but do we have the ability to? I mean, we have big dreams, and we have this tagline that Tobago is going to be the greatest little island on the planet, right? And that is an amazing. I like it. I like it very much. It's good for campaigning. It's good for promoting the island of Tobago. But do you think we have the ability, in terms of the mindset of the people, the cooperation of the people, the vision of the people, because the Tobago House of Assembly can have the vision, but do we have the ability as a people to carry the vision that the Tobago House of Assembly has to ensure we get to where we are? And the thing about it is that, are the people informed enough? Are they interested enough I don't want the interest to be at personal level. I want us to look at generations. You mentioned food sovereignty. So do you think our people are in a place where we really understand that what we're doing is not for me today or for you tomorrow, but for generations to come? Are we in that place yet where we can really achieve this?
So let me answer that directly. No. For a number of reasons, we have become lazy as a people. We've moved away from agriculture as that being our breadbasket for whatever reasons, and we can come up with 1,000,001 reasons. But until we understand, as you said, it is not individual. We're looking at generations. We're looking at it holistically. Until we understand that, I have a saying, he who feeds you is in control of you. And until we want to take real control of our destiny, we will ensure that we feed ourselves. Because we'll always be at the mercies of whoever is feeding us. And as I said, depending on the geopolitical atmosphere now, if war breaks out and we're seeing what is happening, you think they're going to focus on sending food for you? They're going to save the food for themselves. And let us be honest with ourselves. So until we can understand that this is where we are, and get the people's interest. Now, agriculture is very challenging to draw the young people interest now, because they still see it with this backward
and
type of way.
Kind of connotation.
Yeah, that negative stigma. But and I say we teach to the clarity of our examples. Words don't teach, it's life experiences that teach it. So until we are able to show that you can gain real monetary values, because agriculture is
lucrative.
Very lucrative.
I remember, and you said that young people don't understand it. I remember as a child growing up, and I probably, was telling all my secrets. I remember as a girl growing up, I used to say I want to get married to a farmer because I from a long time ago, I seen the dollars and cents.
No, I'm not joking. It's very lucrative, but you have to you see, and that's the thing, you have to have the training, solid training in it, and understand the markets and understand the trends, so that you can. When I grow cucumbers, I will grow cucumber once for the year, and I will make enough money at that time that will satisfy my needs for the rest of the year. I don't need to grow because at that specific time, I'm not going to tell you when it is. I'll tell you, it's around carnival time when the price of cucumber just escalates. And once I find myself around Christmas planting it in the aim to get it for this said time, and it always works, always. And that is something I've observed over time. You know, you collect the data, you analyze the data, and you see these things. So once you do it for all the commodities, as a person, that's why I say I'm an agro entrepreneur, not necessarily a farmer, because I really dive into the data, assess the data, and then tweak as I go along to be able to capitalize. So I don't do like everyone else. When people see everybody just run and do the same thing and then you have you know, so it's a science and understanding that. And until we can show the young people the monetary gains of agriculture, it's real. If I want to move my revenue from 1,000 to 2,000, all I have to do is just.
But you know, you're going to show them this, but they still want it to happen like microwave overnight. Well, I think, you know, you mentioned earlier in the conversation something that is more startling than this, and that is the effects of war, right? And if we really understand that once a man, is in a situation, he's seen about himself. So let's try to see about ourselves, and I feel as if that's the angle we need to take. In terms of the budget presentation, the allocation for the agriculture sector, and in terms of the THA achieving that, whether it's through the Division of Food Security or whomever, all the agencies that will come together, is it necessary? Probably asking an answer, but is it necessary for them to have a sort of a campaign where people are educated on how we're going to do this, how you can get involved, how you can benefit, not just now, but if we do this now, we could relax later?
Exactly. And that is the thing, we have to put in the work now. So that campaign you spoke of, that nationwide drive to inform, educate, get us involved. I did see in the presentation they spoke about how the home farming can contribute and all of that. But let me give you an example. If you drive around Tobago now, you'll see breadfruit coming into season. Now that happens every year, twice for the year. And all of that breadfruit, 90% of that breadfruit goes to waste because half just falls on the ground, right? If we're talking food sovereignty, now that's a good place to start, because those are trees that exist, some have been in existence before your time, before my time, and they continue to exist and they continue to bear. So if we were to harvest those commodities, don't let them go to waste. Convert it into flour, right? Because flour is storable. And when I say you have to look at your fats, carbohydrates, and protein, you need to get these commodities in a form that it can store, so when you need it, you can access it. Store that. So when it is needed, you can always access it. So you have an industry, a flour industry, and I just use breadfruit as an example because it's around, it's in abundance, and it just goes to waste. And that is the approach that we have to take regarding our starches if we want to satisfy our carbohydrates, some of our carbohydrates needs. And those flours are much better than wheat flour. We don't grow wheat here. I don't know what I know what a wheat plant look like from on TV, but I've never seen it in my life, right? So these are the kind of things we have to do. So that nationwide education that you spoke of, things like these are what is necessary that is going to get us to where we need to go. And if we need to start as of yesterday, because as I said, when you look at the geopolitical climate, anything can happen. The way things is going now, and if that is to happen, you know, we're not in a very safe place, right? We'll revert to the breadfruit. I'm sure we'll find the breadfruit and make use of it. Right? So these are the kind of things. So the presentation is good, it sounds good, but let me see some targets. Let me see how. And as I said, it's not necessarily the Secretary of Finance to do that. I'm sure that you will invite the Secretary for Agriculture, and they will now go into the details of how are we going to actually move from under 1% to 6% of agriculture contributing to GDP. And
not just the Agriculture Secretary, but also all the other agencies and stakeholders in the agro sector as well.
Agreed. And that's a very important point. We can't rely, or we shouldn't rely on the division of agriculture alone. It can't be the work of the division of agriculture alone. We need to, I always say, the stakeholders, the existing farmers, help them to build capacity. Right? Because one of the biggest challenges that they may have They may be good at producing, but they're unable to build capacity to expand for whatever reasons. Not enough land and not enough capital investment. And what we should be doing, because these persons already have their feet wet, they have training, they understand this thing already. Help them to move from where they are to expand. So you support those that are already existing and allow them to increase in their production. That's one of the ways. So it's that collaborative thing. It's not going to be accomplished by the division alone. It's not going to be accomplished by the entrepreneurs alone. It's going to take a holistic approach.
Correct, absolutely correct. And in conclusion, I just wanted to share with our viewers your position and how you think we could move forward.
Position in terms of the budget, right? As I said, good presentation in terms of the information, the approach. I saw they want to look at CPEP and URP and get them involved at that level as well. There's some labor that we have that we can capitalize on. Training. They spoke about the TARI, the Research Institute. Training is critical, and when I say training, I mean scholarly work, not just giving people certificates. Work where you have real research being done, that you can use this research in future and you can actually sell your research. Train our people to a point, or get our sector to a point where we have highly skilled persons in the field here, and we can now sell our skill in terms of allowing the rest of the world to come in and learn what we are doing. That is the level that we have to go if we're reaching food, if we have to get to food sovereignty. So, and the target, that's a big target, to move from under 1 to 6 in 5 years is a big jump. But if we were to, as I said, focus on the fats, your carbohydrates, and your protein sources, because those are the main composition of a meal that you need for healthy survival, and you split each one of these areas into smaller sections and say, we want to reduce our meat imports by 5% in the next 5 years, then that is more attainable, because that 6% might be moving our meat imports from where it is to trying to eradicate it completely in 5 years, and that is not realistic. So this is my ideas in terms of how we can go forward, and I think once we do the work, get the people involved, get the education going, get the young people involved, because we have an aging farming population, we can definitely get to where we want to be.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts, for coming on this morning and sharing your opinions there, and of course giving that type of suggestion and recommendation based on your observation and your experience. We really truly appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Mr. Maxwell Roberts. He's the president of the Agro-Entrepreneurial Society of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago Village and Community Council Association. We're talking about all things agriculture in relation to the budget that was recently read in the House at the Tobago House of Assembly 2026 budget. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not the end of our programming. We head on over to GMT, which is Good Morning Tobago, and we do hope that you can stay with us. As you stay, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Today I learned about how jobs are bad for you, how when you destroy lungs you can get cancer. I learned what marijuana and drugs can do. It can make you go to jail, it can make you bleed very, very fast, and it can give you lung cancer.
My name is Sherman Joy Charles, and I am a Behavioral Services Officer with the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program under the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. So we are here to commemorate World No Tobacco Day, which is celebrated annually on May the 31st. And today we have our annual Clean Air Fair, where we target Standard 5 students throughout Tobago. This morning we are targeting the Standard 5 students from the Mason Hall, Moriah, Kasara, and Palsurier schools. And so we're just here to educate them on the impact of tobacco use and to give them the necessary skills that they may need to resist tobacco use. The theme for this year's initiative is actually unmasking the appeal to tobacco products. And we realize that a lot of students are now experimenting not so much with cigarettes, but more so with vapes, particularly students in the secondary school. And so this initiative was ready to capture the standard 5 students before they get out into that high school environment where the pressure to use tobacco may increase. This was really an initiative that was born through our previous manager, Mrs. Billy Sterling Lewis, and it's just to really get the information out there to the students, really to have that intervention at an early age so that as they grow through adolescence that they can make healthy choices regarding not just tobacco use but healthy choices regarding their lifestyle. So what we want to take home is 1, tobacco use is not something that they should get involved with. There are no positive effects. So that's the first thing you want them to understand. And secondly, we want them to understand that it's okay to say no. A lot of children are experimenting because they don't know how to say no. They don't know how to resist peer pressure. So that's the second thing we want them to do. And we want them to be those persons that could go out into their schools and make a positive impact. Those persons who can mentor their own peers and give them the information that they would have received when it comes to tobacco. We want to really promote a tobacco-free Tobago, and so we want all hands on deck. It's not just the school's responsibility, it's not just adult responsibility, but we want to make sure that message is heard at home and also within the community spaces.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host Chanel Felix, and whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. The Tobago Regional Health Authority, TRHA, $19 million acquisition of the Palms Villa has sparked serious transparency concerns after details only surfaced months post-purchase. Though approval in January 2024 and backed by the Tobago House of Assembly, THA, the public was not informed until June 2025. The TRHA faced foreign exchange hurdles and explored questionable funding options, including via a THA-owned entity. However, Minority Leader Kelvin Morris demands clarity on valuation, forex approval, and procurement steps, questioning the use of health funds amid widespread shortages in Tobago's public health care system. Additionally, as scrutiny continues over the Tobago Regional Health Authority's purchase of new ambulances, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has distanced the Tobago House of Assembly from the procurement process, stating that only the Office of the Procurement Regulator can assess compliance. Speaking during the THA budget debate, Augustine said the procurement documents were submitted for external review. The contract for 12 ambulances, of which only 4 were delivered, has drawn criticism over the vehicle's quality. Calls for investigation have come from Minority Leader Kelvon Morris and IDA's Dr. Denise Sawyerfat Angus. And finally, the People's National Movement has declared legal war on the United National Congress (UNC) government over the recent dismissal of approximately 10,700 CPEP workers. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles-Robinson said this mass termination is just the beginning, hinting at further job cuts across other state agencies. The PNM plans a class action lawsuit and other legal challenges with a high-powered legal team, including several senior counsels ready to act. Beckles and Senator Faris Alwari accused the UNC of politically motivated firings and warns that similar actions against URP and forestry workers could soon follow. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Guys, this morning we are going to have a number of conversations. But to start off those conversations this morning, I have the privilege of sitting in studio with a man that is no stranger to us here on Tobago Update, specifically Good Morning Tobago. We are chatting with Mr. Curtis Douglas, who is the president of the All Fisherfolk Association of Tobago. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean and all those viewers on the YouTube station. Good morning to you all.
Good morning. It was always a pleasure to sit and chat with you. And yesterday last week, Monday, we saw a budget presentation coming from the Division of Finance that was given or delivered in the House by Councillor Petelan Roberts. Now, as the conversation continues, there are a number of pillars that they are anchoring that projected economic growth on. And one of those pillars have to do with agriculture. And we know that fishing and fisheries has a huge role to play in agricultural development globally. But as it pertains to Tobago's contribution and the contribution that fishermen will be making to that level of economic transformation via agriculture, what are some of your perspectives on what is being propositioned?
Well, first of all, when a budget is presented, it's presented for Tobago and Tobagonians and Tobago growth and development. And I must say the attempt by Ms. Petelan Roberts, was a good attempt, but it also have a lot of vacuousness in that budget. I'm not beating down her budget, but I have to say it for what it is. And when I say it from a mutual perspective. Great attempt, but I was expecting more as a Tobagonian for what I would have seen, would have campaigned, and the promises that they would have been more boisterous, and they would have had a more straight standing than a bending towards the growth and development for Tobago in that budget. And I would strongly advise to Ms. Roberts to, when she using or presenting a budget, try to keep the political aspect out of it by using the term anchoring. You're confusing people. We don't anchor. Tobago is about growth and development, and a budget should be about growth and development and the future, where it will take us a year from now and where Tobago will be a year from now. But from the perspective as the president of the Fisherfolk Association and also as a businessman, I see a lot of flaws in the budget. And when I say flaws, I don't mean to condemn, I just want to highlight, because as I said, great effort because it would have been the first budget she would have presented, but she must also learn from her lack of factiousness in the budget, right? So we are here to highlight these aspects and hope that some changes could be made to also to ensure and to safeguard the growth and development in the industry and also in Tobago, because as it stands, for months now, the Tobago economy has been very stagnant, and I haven't seen anything much in the budget to say to speed forward the stagnation of our GDP, on an island, especially in the fishing industry. When I listen to her lay her budget to the public of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right, and even as we look at the role of the sectors themselves, you are the head of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association. What role do you see your organization playing outside of the public sector, outside of the THE, in helping to bolster that type of growth and capacity building within the fishing industry?
Now, when you have a budget that only speak to a subvention to the agriculture society, and you leave out the fishing, the All Tobago Fisherfolk, it says quite clearly you're not really in tune with what is taking place. You're not aware on how to handle it. Now, we have been working for years outside of any subvention, any help, by doing the little we can. Hence the reason why we have that stagnant growth and development in the fishing industry. Now, if we were to have the assistance or some form of assistance, we would have been able to transform the entire fishing industry. But when you have one boat called Capitella Paradise, and I hear the secretary as she lay her comments in the legislature recently, and what the Capitella Paradise have done, I'm not saying it has made a contribution, but where is the second and the third and the fourth Capitella Paradise, right? And these are the things that we are saying. I just don't want to repeat. I want to improve as we go along. And I'm not seeing any improvement, and I haven't seen a structure for growth and development. But what I would have seen is a lot of fancy and pretty talk and no action. On paper and in reality are two different things. And I'm really, really disturbed by that level of lack of vision from that perspective in the terms of growth and development in the food security sector. For example, I didn't see anything whereby you would have, in the agriculture sector, where they would have trained to have the birds mine and grow in Tobago and have a contract with Arawak or whatever to cut out the marketing for that, and also try to have that conversation with us to also have Arawak produce, market and sell our fish. Those are the conversations we are talking about in growth and development. And I'm not seeing that in this budget or presented in this budget. All I'm seeing is just talk.
But even from a macroeconomic level, when you look at the budget takes a holistic look at the economy. When we look at the micro, when we look at the details, and getting into the actual projects and initiatives, those things come from the Division of Food Security. So I'm not understanding exactly what type of detail, project by project initiative you are looking for from that overall budget presentation that gives us a snapshot of the economy and where we want to go.
When you read a budget, you read a budget based on data, all right? Data meaning that you would know how much Tobago contributes to the economy and etc. But when you read a budget, you're supposed to specify. You see, like how the pre-budget before, how they said they're giving Tobago, the THE, 100 million for coastal erosion. These are the type of details I would like to see more into the budget. Stating this, for example, there is no development program per se that would make entrepreneurs self-sufficient. You understand? It's just talk that we spend how much here and we have spent how much here. But what does the budget speak for the future? Is more reoccurrent that we are hearing than growth and development and projects. And also, I would have expected with the leadership of the entire who is being led by Tobago THE, I would have thought at least they would have asked for at least 5.6%, because it was said that they would have fight for that, and at least have at least $1 billion, or at least, let me say, 900 million for growth and development in Tobago. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing more like a play down, quiet, calm, free to offend or free to stand up for the people of Tobago in this budget, and I'm quite disturbed.
But the secretary is asking for 5.9%.
5.9 at how much, and how much for development? Out of a budget of 63 billion, what Tobago receive? 63, and this has been happening for years. And I am saying, if this is a win-all situation, right? Because what has been forecast and announced over the political arena recently is that once UNC win, everybody win. But I'm not saying Tobago is winning. I'm not saying Tobago is winning, because there is nothing in the budget to directly said this is for the development, these are for the roads. I'm not seeing enough. I'm not seeing enough. I've been more emphasis should have been emphasized in the budget for Tobago allocation. That's just me.
Right.
But,
and back to the question that I was asking before, even as it pertains to your individual contribution as an organization, outside of what the THA is doing, as it pertains to helping to drive agriculture and that 6% increase of agricultural productivity within the next 5 years. The fishing sector has a key role to play in that. What is your organization doing, from in your capacity outside of the THA to help push that level of productivity?
One, Chanel, we have to try to generate funds, because the only way we generate funds is through contributions, all right? And there is limited contribution. Things is hard. It's very difficult for fishermen to contribute and also mind the family. Now, as I said, the Agricultural Society have a subvention. We don't. And we need to start to understand, we need to separate the fishing industry from the agriculture industry, even though that we both are food security based process. Now, it's so much we could do in the terms of training. Even though you have training, etc., how does that complement the fishing industry? Where do we get the funding from to contribute? So we believe that we should have been some subvention, right? And also, but what we will try to do is try to do as much training as we can, try to more have safe sea at sea and all like this.
Right. So do you guys have like a calendar of these events that you have going on for the rest of the year? What is on the agenda for ADFA as it pertains to building capacity of fishermen for the rest of 2025?
Well, right. That calendar is still being worked out by the executive for the end of this year, because we have started some the calendar was this year. We're almost in the mid-year, so we just have a couple more training. We have Ayana Winchester spearheaded, the executive spearheading those training, especially now she's introducing training for women. Also, she would have been collaborating with Tatco, Ricardo, and etc. to ensure, stuff like that. But we need to deal with more. We want more. We want to see how much we could generate more funding to deal with more specific issue to help growth, because you could do much training if we don't have. What we are looking for is that canning factory, that packaging factory, so that we could package our fish and have it on the shelves and have it. These are the things that we are looking for. Not training people and after train them. What next? What next? You must have the initiative down the road so that they could progress and the fishing industry can progress in such a manner. But we must be able to have that conversation, right? That conversation. And they must also understand the role in which ADFA play, which is contributing to food security. No, we don't really depend on the THA. We don't depend. We haven't got any subvention from the THA ever had, right? We had a building they would have given us. They took it back. So, but we are still going ahead because we are going ahead independently, right? So these are some of the things, because one of the main things we are looking for in the industry is that canning and packaging industry, and everybody should be able to benefit from that. Not only fishermen, right? But also in the agriculture sector. So Tobago will be able to benefit in that aspect, and these are some of the things that we are looking for to drive ourselves determination to achieve these things. And we are not getting the help. We are not getting the help because it's quite difficult, right? So, all in all,
has ADFA had those international partnerships? We see a number of these NGOs and non-profit organizations, working with external international agencies whose goals align with the goals that they have as it pertains to getting funding and, helping that development, whether it be through the Caribbean or Latin American region, organizations who are specifically focused on building, capacity in agriculture and within the fishery sector. Has ADFA embarked on those partnerships to get alternative means of funding?
When we try to embark on these exercise, one thing we reach upon, if we don't get the permission, if we don't get that final permission from the THA, nothing happens. Hence the reason why Ms. Panting could talk about in Buku with the Japanese center and thing, which is great for the fishing industry. What I'm saying, when you do, we need that consent. It is not simple as think meets the eye. But yes, we do embark and we do send out application, but it's left to those people who are receiving it to say, well, yes, we could go ahead with this program, or it's because one of the programs we are interested in or concerned in is the flying fish industry and also the smoked fish, which is the salted fish to preserve fish so that could stay on a shelf for a year. So that is where we're talking about the packages and the industry so that we could be self-sustainable and stuff like that, because we don't intend, our intentions are not to be able to depend on THO or any government, you understand, but are able to provide that side of food security independently for Tobago.
But does, even as the president, do you see ADFA as being a development partner on the island? Where do you see yourself being positioned as it pertains to Tobago's economy?
I think ADFA plays a very vital role in the food security of Tobago, especially with that staple of fish. We play a very, 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 very important role. And, we believe that we are and will partner with the THA, with the central government, with whoever it is, because ADFA is about Tobago. It's not about any individual. It's about the Tobago and the Tobagonians, and also Trinidad and Tobago, because we lead the way, right? In the terms of being independent and being able to development and dealing with oil companies and etc. and etc. We do, right? Just that sometimes when we come across, people might say we come across to be a bit rowdy, but we are rowdy when you try to offend or stop the progress and the development of the fishing industry, right? So we have that challenge, because what we would have seen back to the budget, we wouldn't have seen any sum of funds for the security issue that we are going through in the fishing industry as it stand, because as it stand, we would have asked for two boats to be able to patrol the coastal area, because we realize that a lot of boats are being stolen and a lot of engines are being stolen and etc. So we would have liked the program to associate with the police, with the Coast Guard and ADFA, so we can be able to curb that issue, that growing issue of theft of people properties, which is the boat and the engine. So it's all about a collaborated effort. But if you do not want to invest in it, right? Because remember, fishermen are entrepreneurs. We don't depend on the government or the THA, right? But we can also collaborate. And these are the type of enthusiasm we are looking for in Tobago, because we must be able to work together, to build it together. Yesterday I got a call, a voice note, a boat, purple outside and white inside with a 200, gets stolen from Toco and was headed to Tobago, right? So that draw concern, and not only that, that is the third boat that was stolen within 3 months.
We can go a little bit further on that, and what are some of the causes for that type of continuous theft that we see of boats and engines. But we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this, so see you soon.
Are you ready to celebrate the essence of Crusoe land and the culture of Tobago? Well, get ready for Tobago Day in New York City, hosted by the Tobago Empowerment and Alliance Mission, Sunday, August 17, 2025, Nazareth High School Courtyard, 475 East 57th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 12 noon to 8 p.m. We bring the Tobago vibes to the Big Apple. Live music, Tobago food, cultural performances, and family fun. So bring Tanty, Granny, the uncle, invite the whole neighborhood. Just bring everybody and bring your significant other too. Come celebrate Tobago Day in New York City, Sunday, August 17th, Nazareth High School Courtyard. But hey, I forget to tell all you, it's we 10th anniversary celebration. For more information, call 929-327-7857 or check Team's Facebook and Instagram pages, Team Tobago Day.
Dance Ensemble Tobago presents our signature event, Tobago Dance Sport Championship and Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Lights, cameras, dance on 12th edition on Saturday the 12th of July, 5 p.m. The Chopin Cultural Complex Auditorium. See our dancers, all ages, compete in waltz, jive, rumba, salsa, mambo, and much more. Our Dancing with the Caribbean Stars. Who will take home the Mirror Ball Trophy? Mrs. Takiana Ned Augustine, the wife of the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. Miss Lynette Louis, vocalist entertainer. Mrs. Cassandra Thompson Forbes, journalist and Tobago correspondent. Mr. Javon Carrington, founder and head trainer of Dosfit Studios. And Mr. Julian Skeet, administrator and former TV host. After show, dance party with DJ Santa out of Trinidad. Early bird tickets, adults $200, children $75, and general tickets, adults $250 and children $100. Get your early bird tickets now from Dance Ensemble members, D&D Jewelers at Tobago United Cooperative, Milford the 24 gas station in Canaan, and the Chopin Cultural Complex box office. For more information, you call 772-9049 and 340-5758. You can't miss this one.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning we have been chatting with the president of the All Fisher Folk Association, Mr. Curtis Douglas. Good morning and welcome back. So before we went off to the break, you were telling us a bit about, an increased number of theft happening within the fishing industry, whether it be engines or the boats themselves. Tell us about, why you think we're seeing this happening. Is it local theft? Is it persons from other islands that, are coming on their boats, seeing boats, taking them and leaving? What is happening there?
Chanel, what I'm seeing more so we need to start sort of like, for our program, we need a marina whereby all boats in Tobago should be allocated in a certain place. You see, like when you go around Shagamas, you're seeing all those boats, and we need something like that, all right? Because what we are seeing, and what I will draw your attention to, in case you're not aware of it, we have this guy called Lance Bigot. That is one of the most, prolific fishermen that Tobago has, one of them. And his boat was stolen about 2 or 3 months ago. But you know where it showed up? That boat showed up in Venezuela with guns. With guns. Hence the reason why the Prime Minister was making the response to the Venezuelan Prime Minister. That boat with that 250 Yamaha horsepower was a Tobago boat that was stolen from Tobago. Make the journey to, I don't know whether it's Trinidad or wherever. They did some alteration to it and then load it up with guns. And, well, I don't know. But that was it also said. It was held in Venezuela with guns. So you see, they come into Tobago, they're stealing the Tobago boats and being up to mischief. So you see the level that we are at now in the terms of theft in Tobago. So this gentleman has built his boat, right, to earn a living, where he probably spent something like about $700,000 to $800,000 for this boat. And then we have people, I don't know, I can't say who stole it, but it was stolen from him. And they made some adjustment, and now it was caught in Venezuela with some guns. So I'm saying what we need, that was a former government. I don't know the level of security that we have now, but I tell you, make no mistake, we had none for the last couple of months. So that, and these are things we need to sit down. It's not about who also trying to steal it, because it have a local spice in that mix in order for these things to happen. These things are not only happening by strangers, Chanel. These things are happening by people who is familiar with the area, and also with the fishing industry. Because nobody who know but engine and think I go in a boat and start it. You have to know. You have to have that knowledge.
Understood. And even as we round up our discussions this morning, if you paid attention to that budget presentation last week, you realize that a lot of emphasis was placed on the Tobago Development Fund and the Loan Guarantee Program for small and medium enterprises. Now, this has been open to persons within the agriculture sector, specifically fishermen. You said earlier that a greater investment is needed to fishermen to help them, bolster the type of training, capacity building, and just increase productivity. Do you see ADFA functioning in a role that will help those fisher folk to apply for these grants and apply to benefit from these funds and initiatives that the THA has brought forward in this 2026 budget?
Chanel, as I said, I don't here to knock the budget. I appreciate that initiative, but the challenge that fishermen has with some of these rules in getting loans or even grant, they make some of these grants so difficult to access, right? Sometimes they want the BIR number, okay. They want the police record, okay. They want 4 recommendation, okay. These are things that once recommended by ATFA should have a smooth sailing through to get this. But it is not that simple. When it's on paper and when it's read, it's different from the practicality and what happened in the real time.
Right.
Because even, okay, they have a $25,000 grant right now. And these are some of the high criteria, even though I had a conversation and said, do not make it that difficult. If you require it, we will be able to send a recommendation to say, well, this is a bona fide fisherman, and we can go ahead and do this with the ownership and etc. And that wasn't done. They made it so difficult, some of the criteria so difficult. You have to make it lax. But you also, even though you make it lax, you must also have transparency in it, that which I agree, and also a follow-up program, not only give you this and that, but also have a follow-up program to ensure within a year, within 3 years, this was accomplished and this was achieved by this grant. And I'm not saying that.
Right, but will ADFA be playing that role of encouraging fisher folk and helping them in the process of applying for these funding?
ADFA always help them. In case you don't know, ADFA always, they come to ADFA and we help fill out the applications and we help fill out the forms. But even in that, when we do that, when they go to the financial complex by Market Square there, whatever the name is, right? They encounter difficulties. So what I'm saying to you, this needs to be this supposed to be a partnership instead of isolation type of way. It should be and I'm not saying that. If we need to go forward, we need to go forward together, Chanel. Put aside your differences, but we need to go forward together, right? So these are things that we advise here. And ADFA will always be willing, once it concerns the fishing industry and once it concerns Tobago and Tobagonian, we always are willing to give assistance where assistance is needed. And we do have that administrative help to help fisher folks move ahead and to improve their life, because we are about improvement and we would like to see more done, as I said, more.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. And guys, we want to thank you for sticking with us. We're going to take a quick break right here and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
your chance to lock in the brunch experience of the summer. Sun Up.
Real bad girl, I get nasty.
The Brunch Inclusive Edition, the ultimate party in the East, where vibrant flavors, refreshing cocktails, and electrifying vibes collide. It's happening on Saturday, July 5th from 3 p.m. at Deltec Compound, Argyle. Bring your coolers, bring your crew, and brunch, sip, and vibe in style. This is the flavorful escape you've been waiting for. Grab your tickets now at Barcode, Pablo Supermarket, Lost Restaurant and Lounge, Deltec Compound, and committee members. Sun Up. It's more than a brunch. It's an experience.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, welcome back. And this morning we continue our conversations, and we are chatting a bit about the input of AI in education. I have the privilege of sitting in studio and chatting with Mr. Gerard Llanos, who is an AI specialist and an AI instructor. Good morning and welcome.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you again. Last time we spoke, you were going to do that Tobago X.
Oh yeah, that was a load of fun.
Yeah, that you were going to do Tobago X with Keys Studio.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that that was indeed a success.
Indeed a success, and good morning to Mr. Whitlock and his entire team. Fantastic event, a lot of insights, and thank you to everybody who attended. It was great.
Right, and you are physically in Tobago now, and you're doing some work as it pertains to AI. But particularly when it comes to, that combination of AI, artificial intelligence, that is, and education. Tell us a bit about that.
All right, so let's not talk about AI. Let's talk about education, and let's talk about the future of work and everything. AI is still fairly exotic to many people. We are moving to something called AI ubiquity. To explain AI ubiquity, I would say that there was a time when people used to have the cell phones in a briefcase. Remember way back when?
Yeah.
Yeah? And
that was a bit before my time, but I still do know what you're talking about. I still do know what you're talking about.
And the big cell phones by your ear. And then a cell phone was the ultimate flex. And then big, stupid block phones. Now everybody has a cell phone. Your grandmother has a cell phone. Your grandmother has a smartphone. So we see and we can predict how technology is going to go. Everybody is going to be utilizing AI in a few short years. There'll be nothing exotic about it. And at that stage, everything about everybody's life, everybody's job, everybody's situation, earnings, social, what have you, is going to be forever changed by this technology. Society as it exists right now is not preparing our children for that world. Education does not prepare our children for that world. So we have to begin evolving the conversation about how we educate kids and what we teach them, how we teach them. So I want to, because everybody should be Googling, Google Education 4.0. And Education 4.0 is a framework that has been suggested by the World Economic Forum as the model in which education would or should evolve into in the coming years. Now, whether that makes its way into educational policy in Tobago, we have to wait and see. But that document or those things on those websites and all the information you can read about Education 4.0 tells you that we are transitioning from a teacher-led educational experience or developmental experience for young people and people on the whole to a student-led educational experience where lifelong learning that is student-led but teacher-assisted is going to emerge. And we're already seeing it in other parts of the world. There are already schools in which a teacher's role is no longer knowledge dissemination. It's coaching, it's soft skill development, it's attitude clarification. There are a number of things that teachers take an indispensable role in. But we are seeing globally the role of teacher in how do you do the math, or do you know the social studies, or whatever the case is. AI is already taking up that role and that slack. So at this stage, even now in its infant stages in Tobago and Trinidad and other parts of the Caribbean, we need to begin at least, if we're not ready to conceptualize our Education 4.0 framework yet, we at least need to prepare the 10-year-old who in 8 years is going to come of age in the age of AI ubiquity. AI everywhere, careers that we were preparing them for no longer exist. New careers that we couldn't imagine have emerged.
Right. And here's the thing that I really want to get into this morning. How do we create a more positive attitude towards the input of AI in education? Because when you think about utilizing AI in education currently, there are parents or teachers who may just see it as a child taking the shortcut or the the easy way out. How do we create a new culture and change the attitude behind the use of AI in education?
Deep parent-teacher collaboration with the students at the center. And as an education system, as a country, we have some context of what that looks like, but not complete context. So we have started conversations with the executive of the PTA in Tobago because we are ready to execute a pilot training for parents and teachers. So this is not to make money. This is just to start that conversation of parent-teacher. What is the right way to look at AI? What are the skills that are required? How does this affect the teacher in the classroom? And the teacher in the classroom is sending homework for the parent. So how does this affect the parent when the parent is now faced with work that takes a different timbre because it is focused on an AI future and it may be utilizing AI today?
Right.
How do we take the taboo out of, I use the AI to help you do this work? Because that's still a taboo thing. And it's a taboo thing even for educators, because many of our educators, our kids, are using AI every day on their phones. AI is not a mystery to young people. But we have educators and regulators who are not AI literate.
Understood. And, if we could have a snapshot into the future, I mean, not that any of us can see the future, but based on the trajectory that we are heading on, do you see teachers being able to use AI to help them allow children to understand topics easier, and a future where students would be learning how to structure prompts for AI?
It's a little deeper than that. So we already have a situation where the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, last year at their summit, indicated that they wanted all secondary school teachers to be AI trained this year. There are already initiatives, but that is more product training. There are already initiatives to train teachers on AI. Some teachers are now learning about AI for the first time. Knowing that AI exists and being able to do a prompt is not really AI skills. It's not really AI fluency. It's not really AI competency. There needs to be an entire recontextualization of what education looks like through the lens of AI and an AI-powered future, which we cannot avoid. So it's a bit deeper than teacher maybe starting to use AI to do their job better. the structural changes are already rolling, even though we may not fully understand some of the steps that we have to take. We know that something has to be done.
So are teachers then being trained to, we know you're already using AI. As,
Yes.
You know, as a teacher, I look at my class, I already know you guys are using it. So do you think that more projects and, you know, the work should be structured around, okay, you should use AI to help you with this problem, like giving up a very complex problem, but you know, you can use AI to help you explain it and break it down, but you have to then come to class and explain to the class how you found the solution to this problem.
In our teacher pilot training that we've done, we have been advocates for personalized assessments and personalized lesson plans.
Mm.
What we need young people to do is think at a higher level. And at the moment, and that's okay, the system caters for a particular level of thinking that was predicated on a particular level of access to intelligence and access to resources, etc. So we've gone from here to about here. But our expectation is still here. So structurally, we believe that the vision of education will make some quantum leaps in the next couple of years in terms of education policy. But until then, teachers and parents can absolutely begin to partner right now to enable, I don't even want to say prepare. AI gives the young people all of the tools they need to excel at whatever they're doing. We have to create the framework in which they can take the tools and carry society to where we never imagined it would be. And at this moment, what I feel like is our system is holding a generation of young people back, when really we need to find a structured way to allow them to surge forward.
Excellent. And so tell us about some of the initiatives that you have coming up as it pertains to AI and, you know, educational.
So we did mention that we have our PTA pilot. We are seeking to do formal training for teachers in the near future. And we are, good morning to the good folks at the Division of Education, and we've had some good discussions with them. And we are here to support the things that they are doing to make Tobago ready for an AI-powered future. Some things are in discussion in the background, but we will let them announce any such thing once they make that decision at whatever time. But let's just say that your regulators at the Division of Education are absolutely paying attention to the future of education, not only in terms of speaking to people like us, but they're also doing great work on their own. And I believe that the future of education in Tobago is in safe hands.
Excellent. And, you know, we want to thank you for your time this morning. But before you go, this new central government administration has, you know, made it one of their key objectives to ensure that students go back out to high school with laptops. Those primary school going into high school transition with laptops again, something that they did in the past, and they want to reintroduce it. How can or how do you suggest the integration of AI into that new transition?
So, my personal opinion is there is no such thing as too many devices in our society. And of course, there will be there may be some more devices in some places and less devices in another. But the point of the matter is that there are now going to be all of these devices in circulation for whatever reason. And the technology is already there to be used. Once there's an internet connection, you have access to AI. I think that what we need to start doing immediately is, as a policy, before the beginning of the new term, we let parents and students know that AI is not a bad word, and that they should get on these devices, whether it's their own device or the device that the government has issued, a device they steal from the neighbor and they're trying to use it, doesn't matter. If somebody's on a computer, they can be on their way to creating the next billion-dollar business. They can be on their way to creating the next great breakthrough or the new way of thinking. That is the tool by which young people can innovate. And the idea here is to let them know it's okay to paint outside of the lines in the age of AI, because that's what we ultimately need. We need innovators. We need innovative thinkers.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much to you, and we look forward to a number of your, sessions and training here in Tobago as it pertains to, the inclusion of AI in management and in all sectors. All right. Well, guys, we want to thank you so much for sticking with us this morning. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am your host, Chanel Felix, and have a great day.
Start to rise, the energy